Right. Hey, we're connected. We are live. I'm sitting here with my new friends D&D.
Hey.
They're drawing. I'm drinking at this moment. That's how it's working out. The drink and draw ratio is working out that way. Give me just a moment, folks. I just got to get a few things set up, and we will start drawing. So we're going to be inking a Kevin Nowlan piece tonight. It'll be a lot of fun because my favorite thing about Kevin Nowlan is how he draws his hands. He draws such great hands. And I'm just like, yeah, I wish I could draw hands like this dude. And besides ink like him, because he's just such a brilliant inker. Absolutely just phenomenally brilliant. But right now what I'm doing is I'm going to get my chat window set up so I can see y'all. Okay, give me a moment here. Oh, why don't I scroll over to this while I'm doing that? There we go. Absolute gorgeous Kevin Nowlan there. I also like the way he draws buildings, but for a live at some place I don't know, Wi-Fi, at a place where I'm never quite done it before, removed from my home. So I figured I'll keep it simple and just focus on those hands. Look at those knuckles on this thing, and the joints and the fingers. I just love that. So much detail. This is Dormammu, who old Doctor Strange villain. This is the cover to Doctor Strange number 16, which came out in, tell me the year on here? Oh, last year, last January. So almost 2 years ago. This will be fun. But let me get that chat window open so in case any of y'all want to talk to me, I can respond. Oh, neat. I don't even have to refresh this.
I'm going to take this home and give it to Yannick because it's two of his favorite things, sharks.
Chat.
It should be quality.
Let's get off here so I'm not killing my bandwidth or the bandwidth for the whole place. All right. So let's get going here. First of all, let's turn the pencil on. Now, all clear, beautiful. Back here. Now, so I always start with the face when I'm inking. Look at that ear, man. Kevin Nowlan is a master. Oh, those nostrils. I'm actually gonna, these pencils are a little darker than I thought they'd be. So I'm just gonna lighten them just a smidge. There we go. Oh, that's much better. I did not read this Doctor Strange series. So I'm quite curious if anybody's out there what you think of this, the Doctor Strange series by Jason Aaron with Kevin Nowlan working on it.
Come on, baby. Come on. Come on. We're going to go to dinner. Come on.
Sure, y'all just heard a cameo of a small child. It's fantastic.
So it's $200.
Love it.
So this was about, and it's the surface was on sale. It would have been the same price. And at first she was kind
It is not my child, so.
So it came on Christmas Day. That's awesome. I haven't even set it up yet. Yes.
And it's like destroyed her computer because it just went away because she's on like Windows 7, which is kicking. So we're like, it's for 2 operating systems online.
At a certain point, it's just like,
Nobody's here yet.
but I'm not, see, they'll give me a laptop, but like, I'm still not convinced enough to get me out. I'll be quick. So I can't even extract like a single page of PDFs. I'm like, really? Like,
So painful.
and we have like a super old version of Photoshop too, because that's the one he knows, and he doesn't want to like learn how to do stuff.
So I cannot remember the first Kevin Nowlan artwork that I had seen, but I remember the first thing I really remember though that grabbed my attention about his inking at the very least was when he inked Batman Sword of Azrael, which came out what was that? 91, 92. It was after the comic book store in Texas opened. That was in my town. That was kind of a big deal. And Joe Quesada was the artist on it, but he was not quite ready for primetime penciler. There's a lot of raw talent to him at that point, but like he hadn't quite fully developed out his skill. And they had Kevin Nowlan come in and ink and just took his work up at a whole other level. Because I remember seeing The Ray and thinking, this guy's good, but he's not quite there yet. And with Kevin Nowlan inking, it was just like, oh, this guy's going to be a superstar. And we all know what happened after that. In case you guys don't know, he became Marvel's editor-in-chief in the late 90s.
I think I have read that.
Yeah, he started off working for DC. Do you watch the shows on the WB?
Yes, most of them.
Do you remember? I stopped watching them last season. I just kind of got overwhelmed, and they took them off Hulu, so I was watching them on here, and I'm like, I need to draw on here, not watch TV on here. So I kind of had to, I ended up stopping. Although I continued watching Arrow because if I could, because I like Arrow.
Yeah.
But remember where they went to the Nazi planet?
Yes, that was.
And remember they had the British guy,
Yeah.
who's the Ray. He did a series. I don't know if he was the co-creator of the
web
series.
series?
The Ray.
Right.
Back in the early 90s. That was the first time I saw Joe Quesada's artwork. And my best friend at the time, who now is an actor in Hollywood, he just did he just shot a scene with Danny Trejo. Kind of awesome. And of course, knowing that it's Danny Trejo, it could either be really, really good, or it could be like, Three-Headed Shark, which is a real Danny Trejo film. But anyways, I remember him buying that, and I read his copy. And why I remember all this stuff, I don't know, but it's just all kind of taking me back.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was the first time I really remember noticing this artist, Kevin Nowlan's artwork, was inking Joe Quesada. And Kevin Nowlan, hands down, my favorite, I can easily say he's my favorite living inker, because I don't know if I like Al Williamson better, but Al Williamson was an old school comic book artist who basically spent his twilight years inking and was phenomenal both as artist and as inker. In fact, do you remember the Star Wars comic strips?
No, actually, I don't.
Okay.
I saw the manga though. I don't think
Yeah, no, in the newspaper comics. They actually had comic strips of Star Wars in the early 80s.
Definitely missed that.
And Al Williamson was the artist for most of those.
I know, I saw another one like that actually.
I could probably switch another color. It's just gonna look different.
It was in one of these I saw. It's like I don't know if it has any keyboard.
But if I'm remembering everything correctly, and I'm probably not, but you know how it is. I know at some point in high school I got a back issue of New Mutants, because at this point the series would have ended because it became X-Force. So this was like a bit later. Was the first time I ever really remember seeing Kevin Nowlan's pencil work, and that was in an issue of New Mutants, and I don't remember which issue that was. And that's driving me crazy now. I'm thinking, no, that was a Bill Sienkiewicz artwork for that issue. Sorry, he's another great, and I probably just butchered his name. Sienkiewicz? I gotta look at his Twitter. He made his banner a pronunciation key for his last name.
So, when I was home, my dad told me this really wild story about how, like, Joe Biden saved my school from child predators.
That sounds like a really good article title.
Right?
Joe Biden saved my school from child predators.
He did, though. He was being taken over. Do you remember the scandal?
It's like total clickbait. I just want to click on that.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And wait till you guess how we did it.
12 ways.
Using this one simple method.
Moms hate him, no. But the moms were pretty appreciative, I guess. As you would be.
Oh yeah, because you went to a Catholic school, right?
Yeah, so, it was run by this small order of priests, and, which isn't important, but, so some of them got, they got in trouble for, obviously not behaving well at all. And then they were like, okay, we'll just hang out here at the school while things blow over,
Great.
which was an interesting choice. This is the teacher's protest because an interesting choice. I think I remember one of them actually got fired because she was protesting. So it kind of blew up the story. We will just close down the school so that there's no concerns about us having young here. And basically, it turned out that he heard about it and like he wanted to like just basically like look for that because like this is child predators they were like, oh I guess, sure.
Wow. Way to go, Joe Biden.
He's done some things this time. Oh, this is a surgical.
For the last drink and draw I did with Max, I did 3 pieces on here. It was David Bowie night over at Luthier's. Because yeah, he's there every Monday of a month. I forget which Monday it is.
Not David Bowie, right?
What?
It's not David Bowie, right?
No.
Sadly, no.
It'd be interesting if it was, because it'd be like Zombie Bowie.
I mean, I was going to make a reservation and go.
Yeah, no, they just played videos, and it was really cool. You know, we played his music all night and watched Labyrinth.
Oh, nice.
Classic.
I was trying to decide.
I ended
when
up,
was old enough to show Yannick Labyrinth.
No.
There were just a bunch of musicians hanging out. One of them never heard of the band Television before.
Oh wow.
Like, how can you be a musician and not know Television? I mean, I can understand,
He was
you
a
know.
musician and he didn't know?
Yeah.
That's even stranger. It's like dark blue. Like black.
Oh, I saw a black one.
Oh, a black dumb colored pencil.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, well, this one. You need to sharpen it. Do you want me to sharpen it?
I'll try.
That's me there.
Ooh, it's horrible because it's super full. That's why.
Like, can you what do you call that stuff? Where you let it rot?
Oh, compost?
Yeah, can you
Yeah.
compost that?
I don't know. I'm always
Um,
surprised by what you can compost.
Well, I mean, it's wood on the pencil, and it should be graphite for the. But I don't know if you can compost graphite.
Well, the graphite probably wouldn't decompose, but it's so minimal that it maybe wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah. And who knows? Maybe it might have like some kind of minerals or something that. Plants are weird, man. Like, you
Yeah.
put weird stuff in the ground, and all of a sudden, like, these weird minerals are coming out, and I'm not saying minerals, right? Just going on about minerals.
Plants are weird.
All right, I still don't see anybody online here. Bit of a bummer, because I had a couple of people who said they were going to be here from Canada. I told you, I got weird connections to. Yeah.
Well, Canadians are probably like waiting until that's possible.
Well, I actually don't know what their work schedules are. Is really what it boils down to.
Yeah.
One of them I know has kids and runs 2 businesses and going back to school, but he should have no excuse this week.
Well, and time zones are a factor in holiday stuff. I just got back from all my holiday things, so I know it was kind of like up in the air whether I'd be able to come here.
Yeah, I slept all day today.
So nice.
All day.
So nice. Yeah,
Are you off this week?
I'm going to work tomorrow just because I ran out of days off. But then, yeah, I'm going to take like a couple day off one day.
Yeah, I'm like available for emergencies.
Alright, that's a nice thing.
And then nobody's really clear what's happening on Monday. So, like, and Chris is away and like didn't really say he was going to be, but we're like, I guess you're not. Like last year, we were supposedly open, but literally nothing happened the entire week. So this week we were like,
I feel like
I was like, I'm just gonna work from home, and then we decided to give the developers the week
that's off.
anyway.
That's
So
so
I'm
nice.
like, and yeah, his daycare was
probably aren't going to be around, but like that doesn't mean that.
And they usually don't close like randomly like that. But
Maybe like everybody was just, they were like all the staff were all they were just like, oh, it's too much.
well, they planned it ahead of time. But I bet maybe it was just like hardly anyone's gonna be around anyway. Who cares? It's like too extra.
Oh, this is pretty cool. What do you think so far?
Looks good. Not touching his face.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm working from an absolute master, so,
Right, yeah. You gotta bring your name in.
so like, he already did all the heavy lifting. It's,
Yeah, but you still have to interpret some things.
oh, yeah. I know one of these days I will actually do, find good pencils that he's posted of something where he has that architecture that he's so good at, and attempt that. I hate penciling architecture.
Then why do you want to, but you don't mind inking it?
I don't mind, not as once because it's all the hard work. It's a lot of like perspective and
Yeah.
and people always compliment my stuff, and I'm just like, yeah, I was just copying a photo. I'm not like trying to recreate what an artist would do is basically have to draw a fictional building like the Expansion or Wayne Manor or something like that. Instead, I'm like drawing, oh, here's the border of Mexico and Texas.
Yeah.
I don't have to create anything. Wink, wink. It comes out really good. So, and I'm sorry if it's some of these things that I say don't really apply. Like, I would not talk about comic book kayfabe or cartoonist kayfabe to you guys, but I'm going to drop their name here because I've been talking about it on my live streams,
Right.
which is a different YouTube channel. They had listened to a Simon Beasley interview, and talking about how Simon Beasley created a image for himself. But the funny thing is back in the 90s, I know, were you guys here in the 90s in this area?
No.
97 I was, but
Okay, so you would have remembered the Word and Pictures Museum.
yeah.
I was there, and it was an exhibit. I think it was in '97, actually, that this exhibit was up.
Oh, wow.
Now that I'm thinking about it. No. It was part of the permanent gallery, which was always up there. I don't know if you ever went.
No, I kind of looked around a little bit. I remember buying a book there called Open Me, I'm a Dog, and it was awesome. It was some kind of weird graphic.
The beauty of the shop was, and this also goes back to comic book kayfabe, which if they're happen to be listening, they'll want to listen to this part right here. But Kevin Eastman ran a printing company called, he actually owned a couple of publishers. He was co-owner of Barrage Publishing, which did the Ninja Turtle stuff, and Kitchen Sink Press, and Tundra.
Yeah, I know Kitchen Sink Press.
No, he did not own Kitchen Sink Press, but he worked with Kitchen Sink Press. And then I think they merged with, I don't know. I think he did buy it at some point, but I'm trying to remember this all off the top of my head. Anyways, but Tundra was his publishing arm, and Tundra always published something very interesting. And Comic Kayfabe always talks about how, like, one of the guys, and I can't remember which one, always talks about, like, oh, if I see something from Tundra, I pick it up because I know it's going to be good.
Do you know John Lind? He's like a book designer, and he does I don't know if he does ink work stuff. He knows a lot of those he knows the kitchen sink press guy, isn't that? I can't remember.
Kevin Eastman?
No, it was somebody else.
Oh, Dennis Kitchen.
Yes. And
Sorry.
yeah, but he's a friend of mine's husband, and knows all those. It seems like he knows a lot of similar people.
My daughter's which grade teacher was it? Third grade teacher, I think it was. Or was it her fourth grade teacher? No, it wasn't her fourth grade teacher because it was her third grade teacher. Worked for Mirage Studios back in the day.
Oh, that's cool.
And all the kids are like, wowing, and I'm like, did I know her back then? I mean, were we acquainted at all? She doesn't seem familiar.
My son was watching some Ninja Turtle stuff, and my husband's like a total comic book geek and everything. He was like, did you know those guys who created that lived around here?
Yeah, they didn't create it around here, though. They were in New Hampshire at the time.
Where in New Hampshire?
Dover.
Oh, I'm from New Hampshire, but I'm from southern.
Yeah, my grandparents live in Barrington.
I know where that...
Do you know Caleb's store?
What is it?
Caleb's.
No.
Oh my God. Okay, next time you go back home and visit New Hampshire, find Caleb's.
Okay.
and
What town is it in?
It's in Barrington, New Hampshire.
Okay, I've never been to Barrington.
Okay.
I'm from Peterborough, which is like southeast.
Yeah, you're not that far.
Okay.
Because Barrington's in southeast. It's a very small town.
Okay.
It's a pretty small state, too.
Yeah.
It's true.
But it's not that far from Dover.
Well,
Dover's a
it's
bigger
like-
town.
Yeah.
Portsmouth, Maine. Or no, Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
Yeah, it's like 40 minutes or something like that.
My perspective of where things are really skewed because my grandmother is super cheap. I mean, I love my grandmother, but she's super cheap and always takes the back roads everywhere because she won't pay any of the tolls.
I have a friend like that. She would always take the back roads because she was afraid of the highways, and she was
So
supposed
like
to bring us to
everything's
the
45
airport.
minutes away from her.
Yeah.
And then like once I got a car and found out like, oh, it's only like 15 cents for the toll, and like, oh, it's only 15 minutes.
Yeah. She brought us to the airport once, and we were almost late because she refused to go on the highway. Like, really?
Sounds like my
We're driving
grandmother.
through all these like back, residential neighborhoods.
Yeah,
and stuff
you know
to get to
125?
Manchester. I'm like, no,
The Highway 125.
no,
It's like a major road.
not where I live. We have 101, 202, and 123. 120.
It's all near there. It intersects with 125.
I'm gonna have to look this up.
Okay. And it was Caleb's is just off 125 in Barrington. It's been there for about almost 200 years. But if you do get a chance to go there, get their what is it? Extra snappy cheddar cheese. Like it is the best cheddar cheese you'll have.
Okay.
I do also recommend the maple cheddar.
Oh, that's like way north of where I'm from.
So you're just like really, really south?
Well, we're
Okay, so
practically
you're
in
closer to Plastow.
Massachusetts. We're like, well, I'm trying to find. I have to zoom in far enough to like even.
How
find
close are
my
you to
town.
Plastow?
Not that close.
Okay. Because Plastow's on 125, if I remember correctly.
Or, come on. Oh, maybe I'm more southwest. Sorry,
Oh, okay. Okay.
that's why.
Yeah, no, we're talking southeast.
Oh, come on. How far in do I have to zoom?
All the way there, all the way.
It's like there are no
so
towns.
so
in
you're
this
closer
whole
to like
part of the
Claremont. And that's out of the
Kind
state.
of, yeah, like.
But that's
we're-
like-
I'm
that's
more
a bit
on the
further
Vermont
north.
Side of the, yeah, I guess I'm kind of like, not all the way west, but like I always thought of it as kind of in the middle.
No, I know like in the 90s I went to like all the comic shops in southern New Hampshire, so